Hello everyone, this is Ali from True4 Encoding, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to create a skill bar using HTML and CSS. So what is a skill bar? So a skill bar is a line used to represent something. So in this case, it's goals scored. So as you see, 60% of their shots went in, meaning that 60% of this blue line has been shaded in. And for passes, so this is in the scenario for a sports team, 95% of their passes were successful. Therefore, 90% of the bar has been shaded in, and same for win rate, and so on and so forth. So this will be created using purely HTML and CSS, so let's get started. Okay, so inside of our document, we're going to start off by creating a div for our skills. So we'll do dot skills, and then inside of our skills we want to create our skill, so another div called skill. Now we can create our first skill name, so we'll do dot skill dash name, and let's call the first one goals scored. Then we can create an actual skill bar for it. So that's in another div, so dot skill bar, which will give the name skill bar. And then we want to create a div with the percentage, so dot skill dash per, so skill percentage. And then just inside the first div we'll do per, which is for percentage, and set the percentage to 60% for our first one. Then we'll give it a style, a max width of 60%, which I will explain later. And that's it for that one. So because each skill is the same from this skill tag, we can copy that a few more times. So 1, 2. So now we have 3 skills. Now we can go ahead and change the second one to successful passes. Change the third name to average, so average win rate. And then we can again just go ahead and change the percentages. So let's make successful passes 95%, and then also that means the max width will be 95%. And for this one, let's make it 23%, which means the max width also 23%. Now if we run this, we can just see our 3 titles for now, because we will be adding the rest using CSS. So before we jump into our CSS, let's first link them. So let's link it as style.css, and let's get into it. So for our CSS, we'll start off by removing the default margin and padding. So margin 0, padding, and 0. Now we can start customizing. Well, we'll also add a font family, because we want this consistent font family for everything. So font family, using UB, so UB, UNTU, and then comma, sans serif. Now we can start doing the body, so body, and we'll give it a minimum height, so min height of 100 viewport heights, which is the entire height of our screen. Then we're going to just use some flexbox, so display it as flex. Align the items in the center, and justify the content in the center. Then we're just going to add a background, so I'll go ahead and do background. I'm doing RGB, set this to 46, so 46, Let's set the green to 44 and set the blue also to 44. Now if we save it, we see we have our dark gray background and everything is centered. Now we can start doing the skills. So we'll do .skills, and we'll do a width of 100%, and we will do a max width of 600 pixels. So the reason we're doing this, so this is going to be the size of the skill bar. So that means over here we have percentage 60%. So it's going to be 60% of the 600 pixels, which is our bar. That way it's not of the whole page. And we're just going to add some padding. So we're going to add 0 and 20 pixels. And then after that, we can do the skill name. So .skill-name, and font size, let's change to around 18 pixels. And then we can do the font weight. So for 600, which will just make it a bit thicker. Change the color to white, which will, as you see, make it stand out more. And we want all our text to be uppercase. So text transform and put uppercase. And then we'll add some margin. So margin 20 pixels and 0. And then we can do the actual skill bar. So it's skill bar. So we'll give it a height 14 pixels. And we also want to give it a background color to make it more visible. So background, and then I'm doing hashtag F5, 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 which is the whitish color. So if we save that, we can see our skill bar there. And then just to make it look a bit nicer, we'll add a border radius of, border radius in around 4 pixels to round the edges like that. Now we can actually add the skill percentages. So skill-per. And then we'll again have to give it the same height so it fits inside of the skill bar. So again, a height of 14 pixels. And then we're going to give it a background. So background RGB. I'm going to do a bluish color. So I'll do 7. And then for the green, I'll do 165. And set the blue to 218, which as you see gives us a light blue color. And so I haven't added the border radius yet, but you can already see that it's already filled in because we have already added that in our HTML, which is the max width of 60%, 95%, and 23%. So actually, now I'll go ahead and give it a border radius, again 4 pixels to match what we did before. And once we've added a border radius, we'll position it as relative. And then we can add the text to show the percentage. So .skill-per, and then we'll use the before element. So before. And then we're going to do content. So the content attribute, and set that to per. And then we'll position it as absolute padding. So we'll add some padding to it. So we'll do 4 pixels and then 6 pixels. And then we can again add a background to it. So we'll use like a whitish color. So background hashtag F1, 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 which is white. And then set again a border radius of 4 pixels. Just to make it consistent with what we did before. And then we'll say font size, font size, so font size of around 12 pixels, and we'll do top. So actually before we do that, let's see, we have it here, but we want to move it up and put it right where our percentage is, so we'll do that now. So we'll do top minus 35 pixels, and from the right we want it to be 0, so it's right 0, so it's right where the percentage ends. So here it's 95%, 6%, 23%. Let's just quickly go ahead and remove the double percent, so it's 95%. So over here we need to change that. Now it's just 95%. Okay, so once we've done that, we're gonna transform it. So transform, translate the X, so translate X, and we'll do 50%. Now we can do the scale percentage after. So what that will do is it will show that little, like, make it look more like a text box and have the arrow pointing exactly to it. Before we do that, let's increase the average win rate percentage. So for average win rate, let's make it around 75% and 75%, because if we want to keep it in line, our text, and keep it the same size, we're just going to have to increase that for now. Alright, so back into our CSS, we can do dot skill dash per, instead use the after pseudo element. So for after, we're gonna do content. We can leave that blank for now, and then we can again position it as absolute width of 10 pixels and a height of also 10 pixels. And then once we add that, we can add a background. So again, F1, so white, so it actually blends in with the square that we've made with the actual percentage text in it. Then we'll do top and do minus 20 pixels. And to show that point, we also want to translate it and rotate it. So, but first we'll do the right 0. So again, it'll come right at the end there. And then you want to tilt it a bit so we get the point side of the square. So we'll do transform and translate X. We'll do 50%. And then after that bracket, we'll do rotate, and then again brackets, and we'll do around 45 degrees. So it's curved and it's rotated 45 degrees. But because you see that's slightly overlapping our percentages, we're just gonna remove the Z index. So change the Z index, make that -1. So that will make it go behind our text so that it looks like one shape. Now we can add the animation so that when we reload, it's loading in from the left side and coming in. So for that, we'll do at keyframes, fill bars. Oops, not L. Fill bars. So fill bars. And then we do from, and then do width 0. So it starts from 0. Then after that, we want it to go to 100. So 2. Width 100%. And then we can actually add that in. So then we can go up to our skill percentage and add that in. So animation, we did fill bars, so fill bars, and then 2.5 seconds and 1. Now if we reload it, you see it's coming in from the left side and ending at its 100% state. So that's actually all there is to it, and if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing as it would help me out a ton.